And welcome to Insight. I'm Paul Arthur. Lines are open, toll free, 1-888-816-2545. And I know whenever we do programs like this, our phone lines do tend to get jammed right up. So if you want to get in now, by all means, get to the phones there. Is it sinful to neglect our physical health? And that's kind of a loaded question, I know, but and I would agree. I believe it's more important to look after our spiritual health first as compared to physical health. But I think there are some key aspects to the whole idea of physical health. I mean, if God has called us for a very specific purpose in this life, to fulfill a specific destiny, and then in the process of living out our life, we neglect our physical health, what happens then? You know, we perhaps die a premature death, or we live a life where we're not actually able to function properly physically to carry out that destiny that God has for us. What then? Then we would have to give an account to our Creator in that, wouldn't we? And I fear too often that is in fact happening in the society we live in today. It's a microwave society. We live off of fast food far too often. We're so busy we don't get the time to exercise. We don't do the physical work that we used to, 100 years ago. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Your questions are welcome today as well, of course, on how to improve your physical health. All right, so 1-888-816-2545. You're welcome to jump in from any religious perspective today as well. So our guest is Robert Kish. He's a naturopath, phytotherapist from Calgary, from J Kish Longetics. And maybe we can get that website up on the screen there as well, www.longetics.com. And the phone number's up there as well if you want to contact Robert for more information. So good to have you here again, Robert.
Thank you for inviting me, Paul. Again.
Well, actually, you've been on with us once via telephone, so this time you're actually here in person. So,
which is a lot different.
Yeah, you bet. And by the way, last time we talked on telephone, Robert said to me, he says, you know, Paul, you should come down and see me, he says, and I'll put you through what we normally go through, a series of tests, etc. And, we'll do the supplements thing, and we'll see if it'll improve your health. So we did that, a couple of months ago, and so I'm in the process here. And actually, I know my pH level has come up since then, so that's good. You know, it's still not exactly where it's supposed to be, but things have improved. So, I'm thankful for that. Now, and I know you also work with medical doctors. I mean, you do see that as being very important. However, far too often in our regular medical community, that we normally work with, the MDs, the hospital system, we're treating the symptoms, and the root cause gets left untreated. Matter of fact, it may not ever be discovered what the root cause is. So you go through your whole life like that, don't you?
That's right, yeah. Our biggest thing here, Paul, is that what we try to do is we try to look at the bodies as a whole to see where are the weaknesses. We bring the body back into balance instead of taking and going after even the condition. The condition to us really doesn't mean anything. To us, it means that there's a breakdown within the system and that we must bring the body systems back into balance so that the body will be able to turn on the healing processes itself.
Yeah, and there's a healing process that God has placed within each body.
Exactly, exactly. You bet. And we count on Him for all the healing to take place.
Okay. Well, maybe what we'll do at the very first here is actually take a look at a video clip here of a personal testimony of one of your patients, Valerie Lundgren. So our viewers can get maybe familiar with what you do. Yeah. So here is her story.
About 3 years ago, I went and had some extractions done at the dentist, and at least one of them was abscessed. He decided not to give me any antibiotics, however, and within about 15 minutes, which is the time that it took me to get home, I noticed I had right dead center, as you can see now, but there was a little pinprick there, and either side of my temple, both sides of my nose, and I think my chin. I was in the process of moving, so I did find another doctor. However, because my face was so swelled and everything like that, and marked, they contributed to acne. So they prescribed me some tetracycline, which didn't work. It didn't make things worse, but it certainly didn't make anything better. I came to Dr. Kish's office with my sister the following week. The appointment was made, and he gave me a lot of different supplements and things like that. And I started taking them like right away, and within a few days I was regaining more energy. He suggested that I go to do a detox, their ion detox, and that was probably about 3 months ago. and it's great. Like I can't believe all the stuff that it's drawing out of my body. But I guess the thing that really bothered me is I was always being discounted. I knew I was wrong. However, everyone before, it was kind of, you know, just disregarded what I said because they figured that they knew better, and Dr. Kish wasn't like that at all. He took everything into account. So yeah, it's all encouraging. It's great.
So does that happen often then? I mean, first of all, you know, where the patient's saying, you know, the doctors aren't taking me seriously. A lot of times there's concerns, and perhaps the doctor doesn't know what to do with it because he hasn't been trained in those areas of the physical body where, again, we're dealing with the root causes, you know.
That's right.
I mean, obviously, when most of us go to the dentist, that doesn't happen. That's not the norm. Yeah. But does it happen more than we realize? Or?
You know, with everybody that we do work with, Paul, we can do the desensitizing like we did with her heavy metal detoxification, and what we were moving out of her was the heavy metals. And
you're talking about when she had her feet, she had her feet in this foot bath, and
right.
this man, that was coming out of her body.
That's coming out of the body. There's a little ionic exchange in there that actually draws out and changes and alters the pH within the system, and the body starts to detoxify within the system.
That's amazing.
And the different colors of the water will tell you what you're detoxifying. Heavy metals are really the dark water. When it's rust color, it's usually arthritic tendencies in the body. So yeah, it's part of the process. And when we use the laser at the same time to help and to speed up that detoxification process. The key here is that when we do a session like that, we actually find out when will she be able to do the next session. We literally use the clinical kinesiology to do that. We muscle test the body and say, does it in 1 week or whatever? And the body will literally tell us what we need to do, when we need to do it. Even with the frequencies that we put into the computer, we determine that by what the body can do.
Okay, you're talking about a computer, and let's maybe show that as well. I know I felt kind of freaky when you put this thing on my head and my wrists here. But you actually use this computer analysis here to determine, again, the root causes, what's wrong with the body, you know. And the amazing thing was, for example, I'm a diabetic, and this machine pinpointed the problem with the pancreas, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was like 10. There's a major problem here, and it did that in about 2.5 minutes.
That's right.
And analyzes your entire body.
Yeah. The computer gathers and organizes approximately 5,000 pieces of information off the system within about 2.5 minutes. And what it'll do, it'll show us where the potential weaknesses are within the system. Now, the man who developed the system, when I first got the system, he says, Bob, you're going to have to get into clinical kinesiology. The computer is going to show us where the potential weaknesses are, but he says, where do you really know where the body needs to start? Even if the person has a problem with the liver, and every doctor is saying that the liver is an issue, it doesn't mean that we can really start there. Okay, we use clinical kinesiology to determine that, and by that we will be able to find out when the system.
Well, maybe explain clinical kinesiology here for a moment. I know this is a bit controversial, and we'll ask our viewers to comment on it because, and I'll be honest, I'm not sure what to do with it. I'm not an expert on this, so. But I actually had some concerns initially. I'm thinking, man, this is a little weird because you're basically asking the body to respond, aren't you? I mean, well, we'll give it a quick explanation here.
If we were to, for an example, test a person in regards to how you may respond to this apple, this organic apple should actually strengthen you, okay? Now, I don't know if you took your supplements today or not, but if I were to give you this apple and this organic apple makes you weak, we know that not only this food will make you weak, but anything you put into your system weakens you. Okay, so by using clinical kinesiology, we can then take a supplement that will actually help you.
So you want to try that right now?
If you have you had your supplements today?
You know what? I actually have them in my pocket and I forgot to take them.
Oh, if you got them in your pocket, you got to take them out of your pocket.
I've got them in my pocket.
You have to take them out of your pocket.
I think I do, actually. So you're saying I have to take them out of my pocket, otherwise it'll actually affect my physical body, you're saying?
Exactly, okay, because if it's in the system, it'll it will do that, yeah.
Okay, you know what, I don't actually have it there, so maybe it's in my briefcase. All right, I guess it is.
Hold that in your hand for an example, and just the other hand, and just let me see how strong do you feel with that, okay? And I'm not trying to overpower, I'm just looking to see how strong. So I'm going to resist you? Yeah, you resist, and I'm going to see how strong do you feel. Okay, so right now you are strong with that apple. Okay. If I give you this to hold, okay, how strong do you feel with that? And that is not as strong. And that is sugar. He's supposed to go weak with sugar. Okay. Do that again. How strong do you feel? He doesn't have the strength to hold that. But if you hold that apple now, we take the drop the sugar. Okay. Now if I go there, his arm literally locks. And this, by the way, was also demonstrated by Dr. Phil on TV.
Oh, Dr. Phil used this. Okay.
to show how people can test to see what they will do for children
by
with
holding something in your body, you're saying your body actually
will respond
will get
to that.
strength or not get strength.
Exactly.
And the odd thing is, for example, you did this as well. I mean, I looked at you had a kind of a black and white smile on your wall.
Yes,
I looked at that, and the arm was strong. And then you had me look over at the frown, and
the arm went
my arm actually was not able to hold up your arm.
Exactly.
And I said, well, maybe you're just pressing too hard. So I had my wife test it, you know, because I don't trust Dr. Kish too much here, you know. Could be lying to me, right?
That's okay. No.
You know, my cynical personality.
No.
And so my wife did this, and it worked, you know, and so I knew exactly, you know,
That's
okay,
right.
no, this is actually working. The odd thing is, even an expression like that, a negative expression,
We are affected by everything,
it
Paul.
is amazing how our physical body is affected by that. I mean, for example, the Bible says, a merry heart does good like a medicine.
Exactly.
It literally means that.
You bet.
So
Yeah,
when things, you know, when we're looking at things positively, we actually have more strength. The
That's
joy
right.
of the Lord flows through us. We actually have more
Exactly.
physical health.
Absolutely.
Very interesting. The things we meditate on, good things, you know,
That's right, yeah.
then our health is actually better. It's very, very interesting. Now again, the controversy comes in, I think, is, you know, for example, I mean, you even ask the body, you know, how much medication to give, and whether it goes strong or weak, for example. So now, I think a lot of people would feel that's new age. So is it new age, or is it in fact the way God designed our bodies, that again we have physical, you know, we have the spiritual, and we have the emotional as well, like, you know, the spirit, soul, body. They're all tied together, yet they're separate. Does the body have a built-in, you know, thing from God where it can actually receive instruction and communicate instruction? So that's the question. It's a very interesting concept.
Remember, Paul, too, that all the people that are using this method are not only just myself. There are doctors, dentists, veterinarian, chiropractors, massage therapists. Those who understand how the system works basically are using this to even determine what the dentist should do for you. And a dentist is able to take, and if the dentist who understands clinical kinesiology, he can take a molar tooth, cut it into 8 different quadrants, and actually pinpoint the quadrant that you'll have a problem in. And he will then take a piece of paper, have you bite down on it, and when the camera went in on this man, that's exactly where the problem was. He was able to identify where the problem was even before he looked at the man's mouth. Dr. Warren and all the doctors that we do have are Christian doctors that we work with.
Okay,
To us, it's
all right,
important.
yeah.
Dr. Brimhall has been doing this work for 35 years. Dr. Versendal is known as the father of clinical kinesiology, and he's been doing it for 40-some odd years.
Okay.
So
all
it's
right.
a science that is out there that it's very different.
It is controversial. I know there's some opposition to it, and you know, I think it's something that needs to be discussed, and we need to look at it critically. You know, and say, all right, is it, you know, is this the real thing or not? So we invite your comments on that on either side. Now, I'll tell you what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at a curve view here in a moment, and maybe I just want to talk about diet a little bit, because the curve view is asking people too if the government has any more responsibility to inform the public of health risks in the various foods. For example, Jewish people will. You know, abstain from pork. You know, Islamic people will also ask to abstain from pork, but they'll abstain from alcohol as well. So, and a lot of this, you know, they would say is religious instruction for our betterment. Any thoughts on diet that you would find is key, that where we're missing it in Canadian society?
Your fruits are your cleansers, Paul. Your vegetables are your healers. And if you can work with that principle alone.
Fruit cleanses?
Fruits are your cleansers. Your vegetables are your healers.
Okay.
All fruits should be eaten from morning till noon. As many fruits as you want, but in the afternoon there's no fruits, it's all vegetables.
Why is that?
Well, because you want it when the cleansing process takes place and all the cells are starting to trigger on the healing mechanism within the body. You want to detoxify the system, so the fruits are your cleansers, your vegetables are your healers.
Okay.
You can work with that in mind.
Right.
Now,
I know there's some things we should stay away from though as well, right?
Oh yeah, there's things, matter of fact, in Leviticus there's a lot of things that explain some of the things that we should do and what we shouldn't do.
So you're saying that those Jewish roots there basically are still,
solid,
I mean, it's wise to adhere to those today?
You betcha, they're the best
Really?
to go. You bet.
So,
we try to avoid the pork also.
Is that right? Okay.
Absolutely
Even
no
today.
pork.
All right.
Yeah, you bet.
Interesting.
So it's hard for me to have breakfast.
You probably wouldn't approach it legalistically in the sense that, you know, if we ate pork today, you know, I think that's, you know, I don't think as Christians we'd consider that sin, but you're saying, no, it would be wise to stay away from some of these things that could cause problems for the body.
The reason for that is that, for an example, pork the pig is a rooter. And when you're rooting, they're rooting up a lot of the debris whatever parasites.
It's
And
like
they
a bottom feeder.
Then that's the part of the bottom feeders we talk about, also the fish. So avoid the bottom feeder fish.
Because you can get parasites in your body for it. All right, very interesting. Well, let's take a look at the curfew here and what people had to say in the street. Here's Helena Costumome.